Greetings, blessings to you. My name is Student Minister Chad Muhammad from WAS 47 here in Tampa, Florida, and I am your host of today's Closing the Gap. We welcome you to those that are tuning in, whether it's your very first, second, or third time. And I am accompanied by our dear sister, managing editor of the Final Call newspaper, Sister Stala Muhammad, the co-host also. Assalamu alaikum, dear sister.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Chad. Good to be back.
Good. I can say the same thing. It seems like a wow. Praise be to Allah. All right, family, allow us to open up in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. We bear witness that there's no God but Allah, and we bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. We are students under the Nation of Islam, under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we are here with you today for another segment of Closing the Gap. We are very thankful, excited, and delighted to be here as we anticipate our guests coming with a special show for you. We would also like to extend the greetings on behalf of our founder and CEO of Closing the Gap Broadcast, Student Minister James of Assalamu alaikum also, family. All righty. So we are very, very thankful of this day and this opportunity to introduce, our guest that will be on today about a very, very important topic. When I say important, I'm talking about super important. And this topic of discussion today deals with marriage, and they have a history of being into this component that is very important in our life that deals with marriage. And it's our dear sister Cecelia Muhammad, and also brother Marcus Muhammad, and inshallah, we anticipate them coming on. All right. For those that are tuning in, this subject is so important. We ask that you would share to those that are married, share with those that are interested in getting married, share with those that are in courtship, because this is a very important topic. And our sister and brother got a deep history when it comes to this. They travel as we would get ready to read their bio soon. Sister Starla, I know you had got a chance to attend something that they had before any of the marriage retreats and whatnot.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Last year in August, as a matter of fact, in the wonderful, beautiful city of Phoenix, Arizona, my husband, Brother Bernard, and I had the opportunity to attend our very first marriage retreat hosted by the Marriage Keepers, Brother Marcus and Sister Cecelia, and we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, had a fabulous time. And the thing that is so inspirational and the thing that is so beautiful, Brother Chad, is that you had couples who were newlyweds or had only been married a short time. You had couples there who had been, maybe they've hit the double digit mark and we're at 10 or 20 years, and you had couples there who had been married for several decades. So it ran the gamut in terms of married couples there at the retreat, and the information provided was very valuable. Things that are necessary in order to fortify and solidify our marriages, and going over topics that are extremely important. Of course, we know in the Nation of Islam that before we jump into marriage, that we have what is called courtship. And for some of those who may be tuning in, who maybe heard that term before when it came to maybe your grandparents and you're not quite sure what that is, courtship, as we're taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is a protection for both the man and the woman. But you are, Brother Chad, as we've been taught, you're taking that individual to court. You're asking those pertinent and important questions.
Absolutely.
To get to know one another through the process. And if you don't mind, Brother Chad, there's an article by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that was published in the Final Call newspaper that I found on the website. And the title is The Sacredness of the Institution of Marriage. And one of the things that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan states, He said, let me find it here.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I'm going to refer to another article. I mean, he's the minister, brothers and sisters, and visit store.finalcall.com, but he is taught on the institution of marriage in several messages. So I would highly encourage our
Mhm.
viewing and listening audience to order as many messages as possible. But this particular article, I misspoke, is called Our Commitment to Strong Marriage Secures Our Nation. And the minister stated in part, there is no success in building a nation without the building of family. There is
Right.
no success in the building of family without the respect and honor for the institution of marriage. However, we are beset with divorce and the problem of infidelity. As a
Mhm.
result of divorce and infidelity, hatred is building between mothers and fathers, which is causing children to suffer. We
Mhm.
can talk about many things that are important in life, but nothing is more important or sacred than family and the cornerstone of family, which is marriage. I
Yes.
want to see successful marriages in the nation of Islam and among Black people. Marriage in Islam starts with the recognition that we are not complete without a woman or without a man if you're a woman. But the critical part of male female relationships is in setting up a social context where men and women can meet each other under proper circumstances that do not degenerate into vile speech or actions. Every mosque should set up proper social circumstances for single brothers and single sisters to meet each other. The proper setting is not at clubs or places where women are disrobed and men try to pick up a woman for a one night stand. In Islam, we respect the role of the parents. If a brother is interested in a sister who is of age, he does not approach her. He talks to her father. The father is the authority. The wife, of course, is the co authority, and the appeal must be made to the head of that house. If that process turns out well, courtship begins. In this world, courtship is sampling the goods before buying it. And sisters, that is a huge mistake on your part to let any man have his way with you, and then later you decide whether you will or won't get married. If I pressed most of you who are involved in courtship, I would discover that you have had a sexual relationship. Once you become sexually involved, it interferes. Let me repeat, the minister said it interferes with the process of judgment. Sex is like a narcotic that intoxicates the mind. With certain drugs, they caution you not to enter into any contact. Enter into any contract, drive your vehicle, or mix this drug with alcohol. Sex is like that. When you get involved sexually with a man under that intoxication, you think you are in love. So, again, brothers and sisters, the title of that message is Our Commitment to Strong Marriage Secures Our Nation. And that another message that the minister stated on marriage and taught is called the institution of the sacredness. The sacredness of the institution of marriage. So, Brother Chad, I know that you and your lovely wife have listened to messages
Yes.
minister
Yes.
had on marriage and family, but there are plenty, brothers
That's
and
right.
for us to get the wisdom on the importance of not only marriage, but as the minister taught us, and we have been taught courtship before the marriage.
That's right. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad you shared that. That it was so impactful, everything that you said, because it gave so much, and a lot of times, just as it gave the reference of this world, because courtship is out of the picture. It is most definitely a try before you buy. um, you ever run into couples that's boyfriend and girlfriend? Like, how long you been together? We've been together 20
Right.
years as boyfriend and girlfriend. That's just something. like, like, like where they do that at? Like, I mean, it's just something, but they're scared to get married or to make that full commitment. And it's just, like I tell people, that's really no commitment in boyfriend and girlfriend. It's really not.
Exactly.
What can you bound them by? Like who like who, what is that under? No scripture, no Bible, no nothing like that's going to support a boyfriend and girlfriend. And even in the actual name, it just don't it don't measure up. If that girl is your friend or that boy is your friend, then you shouldn't be doing stuff other than that's friendly. It shouldn't be getting into things like that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's beautiful. Thank you for reading that, dear sister.
Yes.
Family, at this time, we'll get ready to read their bio as we anticipate them coming on. They have a strong bio that most definitely doesn't cover all of the work that they have been doing, but just to let us know a little bit about our guests, our dear brother Marcus, and also Sister Cecelia Muhammad. I would like to go over their bio with us at this time. And it states, Brother Marcus and Sister Cecelia Muhammad have been in the process of becoming married for the last 28 years. They met while they were in high school together and were high school sweethearts. They are the parents of 6 very active children. Both Brother Marcus and Sister Cecelia Muhammad are active, registered believers in the Nation of Islam under the leadership and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for nearly 30 years. Praise be to Allah. Brother Marcus is also the director of the Youth and Adult Intervention Services and Training Institute Incorporation. He is nationally recognized as a motivational speaker and trainer of both youth and adults, and is one of the new authors of the highly acclaimed book for husbands, Marriage Leadership: How to Lead Your Wife and Children in These Troubled Times. Cecelia and Marcus are both NOI auditors. Together, they have produced hundreds of motivational CDs and other books. Sister Cecelia is the manager for the Chime Solution Company. She is also an independent consultant for immunotic research and distributes the magnificent immunical, product. And the other one is Immunotech, All right. This product essentially contains raw milk in powdered form. Together, they host bi-weekly internet webinars to strengthen both couples and single brothers and sisters. Brother Marcus and Sister Cecelia also provide marriage counseling to many people throughout the nation and the community. Both Brother Marcus and Sister Cecelia are blessed to be extremely talented presenters that will offer practical and inspirational information to help your marriage. In addition to being the main yearly marriage retreat facilitators, they are frequently invited throughout the country to host marriage workshop and singles success seminars. And that's just a brief write-up about our dear brother and our dear sister. We are very honored to have them as our guests on today's show and segment of Closing the Gap. So we are very, very thankful. And that's just part of what they have been doing. I mean, I had the chance to be on one of the marriage retreat during the pandemic, and we was online and we was still getting it in. It was wonderful.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
wow, we had fun. Me and my wife was a part of that during the pandemic. So we are very excited and ready, I think, to bring our dear brother and sister up. So at this time, we're going to get ready to bring them on, family. Let us receive our dear brother, Brother Marcus, and his wife, Sister Cecelia Muhammad, at this time. All righty. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, fam. How are you?
We are fine by Allah's grace. So good to see you and your
Good.
husband.
He is right here next to me. Get on the laptop.
Yes. Okay.
But
Okay.
praise be. We are indeed excited to be on your show again. It is indeed our honor and privilege, and we thank Almighty God for you guys allowing us to come and be a part of your show tonight.
Praise be to Allah. It is our honor, and we are very thankful to have y'all. We was just bragging about y'all for the ones that we have attend through the Marriage Keepers. I was telling Sister Starla about I had a chance, me and my wife, during the pandemic, to be a part of the the marriage retreat, and it was very good. Met some new couples. We had fun. It was competitive. Me and my wife was on. I mean, it was great. And then Sister Starla was talking earlier about the one she attended in Phoenix. So we was bragging about y'all.
All praises due to Allah. We know that it is not possible, and we just want to open up in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. We bear witness that there is no God but Allah, that Muhammad is indeed his messenger and servant to us all. And I greet the beloved people of God in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. We
Right.
know that we would not be able to do what we do without the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and for the God coming all by himself, Master Fard Muhammad. So we thank Allah for anything that we can contribute to assist our nation and our people as a whole, because we know that knowledge is power, and the more God knowledge we have, the more successful we will be. And it will be unlimited success because we are following our divine being of ourselves, and how we are created, and we're all spiritual and divine beings. So when we use the tools in that manner, we can have unlimited success. So we thank Allah that we, as one brother said, has carved our little niche in assisting with marriage and couples and our courtship and single brothers and sisters, because we know it's all circular, and that is necessary for our development as Muslims, as Christians, no matter what our quote unquote religious belief may be, that the girding principles of righteousness is throughout.
Mm, praise be to Allah.
Yes,
Thank you. Well said, dear sister. Praise be to Allah. Well, it is 7:24. We're gonna hop right into it as
yes,
anticipated, so we can get going.
yes, sir. First, I would like to remind our viewing and listening audience, any questions that you would like to pose to Brother Marcus and Sister Cecelia this evening, please make sure you place your questions in the chat. This particular topic is usually, Sister Cecelia, a hot topic. People want to know about, marriage, courtship, family. And my first question would be, we live in a society where it seems as though that commitment of marriage and a man and a woman coming together to make a commitment before God in front of their families, that it almost is presented by some as, well, that is old fashioned. We don't have to do what our grandparents used to do. We can just, kick it, and then whatever happens, happens. So can you talk a little bit about, in you all's experiences, particularly as you travel around the country, are you noticing maybe more optimism from young people when it comes to wanting to be married, as opposed to this society driven narrative that, well, you don't need to be, married, you don't need to commit, you can just, do what you want to do and do what you like?
We definitely, absolutely. It's so sad to see and hear how our young people will rather, and even those a little older, where living with someone, experiencing someone like you are, husband and wife, I call it playing house, as my mother would say growing up. That you are doing everything a married couple does, but we don't want to get the piece of paper. And I'm like, a paper is important for what reason? You need something to certify something happens to you or your husband or your wife. Then you have some means of having authority over their affairs when they may not be able to talk or able to tell people something. I was just having this discussion with my daughter, and she was talking about someone who they were a committed couple. They were committed to each other for 14, 15, 20 some odd years, and the man gets hospitalized. She doesn't have anything to say. Well, we've lived together. The mother came and took over. The mother came and took over and was making decisions for her her commitment to what is it, her long time common law person. So therefore now you open yourself up for all kind of legal things. So when they say, well, who has authority to make the decisions if you're not able to talk? Who has authority that your insurance, all of these type of things? And most of us, I tell people all the time, I say, why would you do that to yourself? If you love the person, then act in the same way. The difference is you have paperwork to back up what you are doing. And so many people like, well, I want to try it out first. Try it out. What do I look like, a buffet where you sample different things? We have to love and respect ourselves enough to say that if we are and I tell people all the time, if you are compatible and you see that you two are compatible, then make the commitment by getting married. Well, I want to work out. No, we don't want to see if it works out. We're going to make it work. Because see, in our minds already, we're putting that if it don't work out, I have an exit plan. And the toxicity that our young people have seen, divorces, all type of different things. We've seen abusive relationships, whatever it is. My daughter's now about to be 30. She was in high school. And she said, Ma, the teacher asked a question to a classroom at that time of high schoolers that were juniors and seniors in the class. And she said, out of 30 students, how many of you see yourself married in the future? Only 5 children raised their hand. And I said, now that is some awful statistics, because now these people are now in their 20s, they're 29, they're 30. So again, we have to let people understand. I just had a conversation with a young lady, and I said, the problem is, if you think a relationship is a Cinderella happily ever after situation, you're doing yourself an injustice. And I immediately said, I keep the minister's article in my phone, the sacredness of the institution of marriage and how marriage is half of our faith, and it's similar to the trials and tribulations that we go through, that is on our own journey with God himself. I'm not quoting the minister exactly. Please go and get that article if you've never read it. You can go to Google and put the sacredness of the institution of marriage by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I keep it in my phone. So when someone calls me, I say, before we talk, I want you to read this article. Most of the time, they're not going to call me back. They're not going to call back, because once we understand that something that's worthwhile, you're going to have difficulty. And we have to let people know marriage, relationships is difficult. But guess what? If we use the right tools of communicating better, talking better, dealing with our finances better, dealing with our own self improvement is a must. People ask me all the time, well, what's the number one problem in marriage? Self-improvement, the basis for community development. The community is you first as an individual. If you're not dealing with your own traumas and toxic behaviors that you've picked up, that you've seen, then you're going self, and there we go, right there. That is what we have to do for ourselves, because you are a trainload of problems for your person who you love, who you're in a relationship with. And most of the time, people get a divorce because someone has decided, I'm not fighting no more. I'm not struggling no more. Well, guess what? You, just like the minister said, you're aborting the process because you're not going to avoid the process. If God got a trial for you, you can go to this way, that way. You can go from here to there. It's going to keep coming until we learn to deal with it and learn from it and grow.
Praise be to Allah. You said a mouthful, dear sister. We thank you for that answer. You was talking about tools, in marriages, and one of the questions I wanted to ask about, what would you say are like activities that a married couple can use to improve communication? because I know sometimes, we get our signal crossed, and it can lead to arguments. It can lead to even breakups and counseling and everything like that. With when the communication is not, just there where we're able to understand each other. So, what would you say some activities that a married couple can use to help out to improve that communication?
Well, one of the things we tell couple of, and we've played the game where we've had we went to couples houses to do a couple nights or a dinner night for couples, and one of the things we introduced to them is a card game that's on Amazon called Reconnect, and it's like all these different little cards. And I said, you know what, just take one or two out a night, make it like a part of your nighttime to get to know each other, no matter how long we've been married. We cannot say, oh, I know you so well. No, you don't know how I change. So reconnect cards. Just have a discussion. The asking questions. Well, babe, ask a question. Well, babe, in the next 5 years, where do you see us at? What are some of your future thoughts, your future plans? Really trying to understand the person, like the word intimacy. Most people hear intimacy, they thinking about sex. No, think of it like into me, see me for who I am. Yes, I'm your wife, I'm your mother, I'm your this, but who am I as an individual? I want to get to know all about you. Well, how do we do that? By asking each other questions. Take a topic and talk about the topic and really, really listen to the person. The TV is off, the phones are put away, and I'm turning my full body, my full attention to you to discuss what we want to discuss. But those reconnect cards, you can go on Amazon right now, and matter of fact, my husband just ordered another box for us because we travel a lot. We keep them in our car, and we'll be traveling and asking each other questions, and we'll say things like, man, I didn't even know, that's how you felt about this or felt about that. So again, get those reconnect cards, and they are wonderful because it gives you so many questions to communicate and talk to each other without having to talk about the bills and what's due. And, let's get out of that once we've had that discussion. But there's so much other things we can talk about. But that's definitely one. And another one is listening. I tell people, act like an auditor when people are talking with you. In other words, let me listen without commenting. I'm listening to learn about you. I'm not listening to have a rebuttal. I'm listening to learn. Because most of the time we're arguing because someone is trying to get their point over. Someone is trying to force somebody into their will. No, I have a perspective. You have a perspective. That word that we've learned in auditing, do not invalidate the other person. They have feelings. They have ideas. They have thoughts. No, no, no. You're going to do it my way. My way or the highway. See, the minute we meet that in couples, we like, how can you have an attitude like that? You have another individual there. And there is my husband, brother Marcus.
Assalamualaikum, brother. Praise,
Wa alaikum salam, sir. How you doing?
fine by Allah's grace. Good to see you.
Praise be to Allah for seeing us together. All praises due to Allah.
Alhamdulillah. Praise be to Allah. Welcome. All right.
I'm
Thank
going to
you.
switch out to join him.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Sound like a plan.
Very good.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Marcus.
Wa alaikum salam, Sister Muhammad. How you doing?
Excellent. How about yourself, my brother?
All praises due to Allah. We thank Him for another day of struggle. That's
Yes,
what this is. This journey of life is a journey of struggle, and we got to learn to love it
yes, sir.
because this is what God has ordered for us at this day and time.
Yes, sir. Sister Cecelia mentioned something that I think is so key and so important, that, within this journey called marriage, the fact that you don't stay the same person that you were, in the newlywed years that maybe you are in year 3 or year 5. Can you talk a bit about, as individuals, we change, but how do we continue to, number one, not look at that necessarily as a bad thing, because as people, we mature, we evolve, we may see things, one way at 25, but when we get to 35, we see things maybe a different way because of life experience. But how do we, in our individual changing and evolution, we don't start to drift apart? I know she had mentioned, of course, the communication is key, but sometimes, in that change, you may give a side eye at your spouse, like something that you found endearing when you all are like all lovey-dovey. Now all of a sudden that same thing is just like, man, that gets on my nerves. But how do we continue to keep that bond together as we're individually changing?
See, men don't expect women to ever change. We don't expect that to happen, but you all do, and you change dramatically, my sister. I'm telling you, I have discovered that my wife has changed dramatically on me. And I am very appreciative of what God has ordered for her life in 2024. I can tell you that a lot of us are not used to change, but there's a song that says everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everyone and everything must change. I don't know why we are so frightened by change, because I can tell you that if you think that nothing is going to change, you should have never gotten married. You should have stayed in a single life forever and ever. But when you change, and you have to look at how God is going to change your marriage. He changes things. Your financial condition is a thing that will change in the marriage. You may not have no money now, but all of a sudden you come into enough money so you will be all right for the next couple of few years. But that will change eventually too. I'm just letting you know that change is the order of the day, and we don't, as men, we don't really think that our wives should change. And that's not the way it goes, my brother. If you married a woman is going to change you. The nature of her love for you will change you. If you love her, you're going to have to change. A lot of these women out here in 2024, they are demanding change from us as men, real change, real substantive change that they can see. That's why I know that what we do is of value to the Nation of Islam and to marriages all over the place, because we're talking about the necessity of change. Change can be a beautiful thing, Sister Latrice. You are so right. It's a beautiful thing when you change. When you look at Amanda looks at marriage the same way in his 50s that he did when he was in his 20s has not changed. You gotta change for the nature, for the function of marriage. You have to do that, and I can tell you that it's a beautiful thing. Change that we can believe in, Sister Angela. That's what we're trying to get in marriage. And what we teach is advanced relationship goals and tips and whatnot. Stuff that probably you have not heard before, but we are promoting advanced relationship skills for everyone's marriage, because if you've been married for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years and you have not changed at all, then you got to look at that as an indictment, not against her, but against you as a man. Because you should have changed in 20 years. You should have changed as a woman in 20 years for him. You should be better now than you were 20 years ago. And I'm so for the change, sister. I'm so for us to get involved with change and the process of change and embrace it. Embrace the change that is necessary for marriage.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Thank you, dear brother.
Thank you.
Now, the scriptures speak about being equally yoked. What does that look like when it comes to marriage?
Wow, I could tell you, brother, it's a very different picture than what we probably think of when
Mhm.
we think about being equally yoked. You have to know that you're equally yoked is really the mindset that you are in when you marry this person. And your mindsets have to change and grow together. Oh my God. It can be how do you say, it can be uh it can be a wonderful thing to change and to grow with your husband. You have to have a woman that can grow with you, brother. A lot of us think that my husband is not growing. He is growing. You have to give God a chance to work on him and work with him. You have to work with God, sister, to produce that man that you're trying to get. God is in the picture. As our minister always says down here in Atlanta, God is still in the blessing business. God has your husband in his sights. Oh my God. And it's a gradual thing. It's a steady process where God raises him from ignominy to a man of means, a man of substance. And that's what you want as a woman. You want him to be a man of substance that can take care of you and to take care of the house.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you. Thank you. We talked at the top of the program, Sister Cecilia. We also read from that same article that you talked about by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And one of the things, of course, that the minister talked about is that, if we sample the goods, as he put it, prior to marriage, how that can, cloud our reasoning and our judgment. Can you talk about, you know, again, that foundation, the importance of courtship and the type of questions that sometimes we neglect to ask because we're so, enamored. We're in the heart is kind of palpitating and whatnot. But sometimes what we do is we move off of that feeling as opposed to, what are some of these basic questions that I really need to be logical and ask my courtmate to see if we need to take this, to the next level in terms of engagement and marriage. And if you can also talk about, there's no shame in if a courtship ends because you discover there's not a compatibility, that there is no shame, there is no embarrassment. We're still brother and sister. So can you speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, that courtship, like we're taught, is seeing if the two people are compatible. Like you say, equally yoked. Do we like the same things? I'm a reader. Are you a reader? Do you like to travel? No, I like to stay home. You got to look at these things because in the long run, it's going to affect that relationship. Just to give an example of what I just said with that, if you like to travel and you have a spouse who's a homebody, they don't like to go anywhere. They go to work, they go to mosque, they come home, very little outside activity, and you're in courtship finding this out. And you say, well, we're going to push through anyway. Okay, you push through. Now you have problems. You traveling, the spouse is always home. They're always home. You'll never do nothing together. See, that's not equally yoked right there. We both love to travel. We both like to do this because we like to tell brothers, because you are the head of the household, you are the visionary for your family. What are your goals and objectives that you as a man are trying to meet? If you're in the nation and you're striving to build the kingdom of God on earth, well, what field is that? Are we looking at banking? Are we looking at farming? What is it? Because you're looking for the wife, because the minister said, brother, if you don't have nothing for a woman to do, leave her alone. She's looking to help you to be a producer of something. But if you have no goal, no aspiration, well, I just want to go to the mosque and come home and, have children and grandchildren. That's great. But what are our business goals? What are our longevity goals? And so therefore, in that mindset, brother, you're looking for the sister that's going to fit your puzzle. If you don't know where you're going, how you going to get there, who going to help you, because that's what we are. We are your help meet. We're to help you to meet goals. We're to help you to meet objectives. And husband, you're to help your wife with whatever her goals and objectives are as well. But the questions first of all, we must obey the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And the first thing is investigate, find out all about this person. You're taking them to court. Do they have an ex-wife, ex-husband? Do they have children from another man, another woman? You need to be talking to these individuals because they're going to be heavily involved in your life, whether you like it or not. Well, me and him and her don't get along. Yeah, but we still need to have a conversation, because especially when we make the decision that the both of us are going to get married, you need to find out all about this person.
Yeah.
How do they get along with their family? You want to purposely be in environments where you see how they interact with people.
Right.
Because however they interact with people, you times that time 10 to how they could potentially act at home. Did you hear me? Times that time 10 to see how they gonna act at home. Because most of the time we may cut up in public, but at home we let it all hang out, supposedly, right? So we have to be conscious and paying attention. As my husband says, what do you say to people all the time, honey? Be careful before you fall head over heels in love and you have not did your due diligence.
That's right. All courtship does not end in marriage, nor should it. You got to know when this courtship has gone off course. If he's talking about bringing you to bed in any kind of way, suggesting that, we deal with a lot of people. We do a lot of courtship counseling. And some of it ends in bedroom activity. Minister Farrakhan told us that if he were to check most people, he would find that most of us have already done the do. And I'm telling you, it's not good that you do that kind of activity before you get married, because sometimes it does not lead to marriage when you do the do. So we're just trying to help you to do it the proper way. The way Master Farad Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, has set up courtship, the way Minister Farrakhan has set up courtship, it is for the protection of the brother and the sister. It's for your protection too, brother, because you have a lot to lose if you don't choose properly. So be careful before you fall in love. You fall in love with this sister, this brother. Make sure you get some counseling, some courtship counseling. Would be an excellent idea for you to look at, especially those of us who are watching this broadcast who are in courtship right now, and it has not progressed along the path that you would like. for you to see whether he or she is the marriage kind. Sometimes you get your person in courtship, he's not the marrying kind, she's not the marrying kind. They're looking for a quick hookup with you, and that's it. That's all they're looking for. They're not looking to get married to you. So you better be able to determine that. And sometimes you need a little help to determine that. And we can help you.
Praise be to Allah. Speaking of help, Brother Marcus and Sister Cecelia, and I done seen this happen before. Maybe you have also. But you know how you might have a couple that comes into the Nation of Islam. Now they've been staying together like 5 years or so, living together, but now they're both coming into the Nation of Islam.
Yes.
And they're on their way. They're going through orientation. You know, you don't want you try not to put that pressure on them right there. Like, hey, look, you got to, you know. So they go through the orientation. Now they get registered, but they still in that financial bound of they stay together. They pay rent together. They've been living there for 5 years, you know, and everything like that. To couples like that come into the nation now, both profess their beliefs. What are some of the ways that we can get them to see the importance of marriage, you know, as a foundation, as a cornerstone in the Nation of Islam, and making that situation without it sounding like, you know, they are at that point where it's most definitely it's compulsion there, but it's more like, okay, you're at the Valley of Decision, y'all already been together, enjoying the benefits of marriage and whatnot. But, you know, what's going on?
That's so simple there. That's a simple question. You know, that man, my grandfather used to tell my poor sisters, why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free?
Right.
And what he meant by that, now I've learned what he meant by that, because so many sisters are living with men who are getting all the benefits of being married, but he ain't moving. You got to move him slowly toward the goal of marriage. That should be every woman's goal when you have a black man in your life. Move him slowly toward that goal of marriage. And women who get married are women who insist on marriage. They pull back the cookie from him. Oh, you not gonna marry me? Oh, I'm gonna keep this cookie to myself.
First of all, you don't get it at all.
That's right. You don't get it at all.
That's the truth of it. And see, in the mosque, with our mosque setting, when that is learned about in orientation, that's when the brother and the sister captains get involved, because again, they're coming into this and they're new to it, but you're letting them to know this is our way of life.
Right.
This is our way of life, is husband and wife. So because you're in the processing class, then the orientation instructors should be aware of their situation so that you can help further them. And it's going to be a part of their introduction into the nation. So that should not be an issue, because once you get to the point where you're writing your letter and you're about to recite, then you know, they say, what, you got 6 months to clean up after we become registered. So all of that, again, is preparation to let you know this is the lifestyle of us as Muslims. And the more we understand and recognize, I've been grown, however long, however old we are, you've been doing it your way. What are we taught? What, as our beautiful Dr. Sister Nisa Islam always say, Islam is the right way. Mm-hmm. Once we begin to understand that and submit to what is right, we have unlimited success. But when we do it our way, our way has created hell and hard times. Let's be honest.
Come on now.
Look at our life prior to Islam. Look at our life striving every day to live Islam. I tell people all the time, I get excited because I live this. I don't just talk it, I strive to live it every day. And I see my success compared to those who are my age, who are relatives in this one and that one. And I hear that. A sister, you have 4 children by a man, and y'all been together 10 years, and he still hasn't married me. I'm waiting for him to. It's the mindset.
Yeah.
Why did I permit it to go like that?
There you go, right
because
there.
It's what we permit. At the end of the day, what you permit as a woman is what that meant. That's why we're taught. A nation can rise no higher than its woman. The more the woman is striving to be right, the more the woman is learning who she is and learning how to harness her feminine divine nature, then therefore your behavior, your actions command a certain treatment from men.
That's right.
And you have to ask yourself, how valuable am I to myself?
That's the question.
And I say this to young women all the time. You have to value who you are. You are the woman of God. Don't let this world keep making you think you bootylicious. You got to shake what your mama gave you. You got to get butt implants, breast enlargements. All of this is designed to keep people focused on us as sexual beings, and that's just a little phase in the whole grand scheme of things. But yes, sister, our courtship process is a must. Follow the instruction. There's no sliding in my DMs. No, it's going and submitting courtship papers and that courtship papers is your passport to talking to each other. Let's put it like that.
That's right.
In the world, the brother can go up to you and say, hey, I like what you doing. Let me get your number. You get my number. And we start talking, dating, and do whatever we grown enough to do. No. In God's kingdom, in God's way, no. Because you value yourself, let's put in courtship papers. And that's our permission to talk to each other to find out if we're compatible.
It goes down in DMs. So you got to straighten this stuff out, because we got a whole nation here of people who want to do it their way instead of Muhammad's way. And Frank Sinatra,
and we get the calls, and the student ministers get the calls, and the sister captains get the calls.
Yeah, it's not working. We got to do better than what we're doing. All of us must do better. That's what Minister Farrakhan is calling for us to do in this day and time.
Well, praise be to Allah. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Brother Marcus and Sister Cecelia, we often hear the term, red flags, and how do we recognize those red flags? And then how do we become real with ourselves that when something that really is a red flag, but sometimes we're like, oh, well, maybe it's just really a yellow flag and maybe a little caution, but I'm going to ignore it because I really like this brother or I really like this sister. Can you talk a little bit about, brothers and sisters, when you're in courtship and you all are dialoguing, look, there are some things that are obvious red flags that you need to, maybe be like, don't pass, go, stop, brother, assalamu alaikum, sister, assalamu alaikum, may Allah bless you. But no, we got to recognize these red flags for what they truly are.
Beautiful question. Great question. Come on.
Well, praise be to Allah. We just happen to have a book.
That's right. We got a book
that is called Red Flags. And you can go to our website, www.themarriagekeepers.com. And we have a whole book for that because, again, that's exactly one of the problems when assisting our courtship couples. When we deal with people who are married already, been in the process, and one of the first questions I ask is, did you see this in the courtship? Their response is yes.
Yes.
I saw it. I said, so why did you go further? I said, don't even answer the question. Let me help you with the answer. You thought you can fix someone else.
Yes.
We cannot fix ourselves.
That's right.
So if you see a red flag, and you, like the minister said, if we are studying, because studying and practicing our Islam, studying is our key to opening up to be able to feel and think and know, man, that's a red flag. I need to stop. And then you see one red flag. You see two red flags. You see three red flags.
Oh,
and you still continue to drive your car. No, I need to pause and stop and get some help. If you, like you said, if you really, everything is good, red flag. This person seems to not handle anger well. This person seems to be very explosive. I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things. Again, we must know ourselves, brothers and sisters, and what are the things that you made a decision of. This is a deal breaker for me.
Right.
This is not something I want to tolerate for myself. What are your deal breakers? What are some things that you're not, like, for example, prayer, Islam, going to the mosque, being an active member in the mosque. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, because that is our foundation to the success of the relationship. Oh, well, he travels a lot. Oh, she travels a lot. They only go maybe once every 6 months or so. That's going to be a problem, right? If my thing is an active Muslim, well, what does that look like for you? Are they going to the mosque with me when I'm going? If I'm there Saturday, if I'm there Sunday, if I'm there Wednesday, if I'm there Friday, am I looking for my spouse to be there too? Absolutely. Most of the time, yes, we are. But we have to know our deal breakers, which are those red flags. Right. Honey, what are some red flags brothers need to look out for?
You better look out for that. Has she been to jail? I'm just putting it out there for you. I'm putting it out there for you to think about. You know, and then has he been to jail? Maybe that would be a deal breaker for you. And are they on drugs of any kind? What drugs are they on? Have they ever experimented with anything? You got to find this information out before you get married to them, before a child comes into the world and they have the same tendencies that this man or this woman has.
Physical health.
Ooh.
Physical health.
It's a red flag. Does he have a heart problem? Does he have a lung problem? Does she have foot problems in terms of her ability to get around? My mother didn't want to drive. She did not want to drive anywhere. That was a definite turn off for my father. And he punished her severely for her not wanting to drive, because he wanted a woman that could drive. And I can tell you, there's so many things that you think you can ignore them. You think, oh my God, I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore that about him, about her. I'm going to ignore certain things about it. The first thing that Brother Jamil told me is that you should want to be friends. Is this person a friendly person? The person I'm in courtship with, are they a friend to me, to my situation? Have they ever attempted to even try to be your friend? Because guess what? Marriage is hard, it's tough, and we got to learn how to be friends of one another. The believers are friends of one another. Maybe he's not a believer. Maybe she is not a believer. When you talk about going to courtship, it's going to court, putting the evidence out there about you. And hopefully the judge, in this case, your courtship partner, will convict you and can sentence you to lifelong love with them. But it may not be the case. Before you get to that lifelong love, you got to go through the experience of presenting your case to this other person. And we want to tell you that that's not always easy, because we do lie. We do lie. Oh my God, we lie so well.
Get proof.
Get proof.
That's what we tell people. When you get to the point where, again, we're compatible, everything is good. Okay, now that we're getting to the part where we're talking about getting married, we're talking about engagement, we're talking about wedding, then okay, now it's time for all the proof. Now, whatever I didn't do prior, oh, I need to dot my I's and cross my T's. The minister said, go get blood work.
Yes, he did say that.
For those who don't remember, go get blood work. Why? Because people are walking around with illnesses, with diseases. Some of them know, some of them do not know. You better do what the minister said. Oh, we don't need to do all that.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, all right.
We in the nation, we get marriage licenses. Ain't no such thing as no marriage license.
Come on now.
We get the marriage license. You are married to me. I am married to you legally on pay. Oh, we just gonna go to the mosque and we'll get married and we fine. We don't need the white man paper. Who says so?
All right. Yeah, all right.
No, we need the paper because, again, there's health decisions that have to be made, and only those who are your representatives can represent that to you. I'm like, I tell people all the time, I said, look at here. When it comes to the seriousness, we need to be talking about life insurance. Do you know how many people are, if I'm going to say this and right now probably cause problems. Do you know how many people get remarried and they never change their insurance policies to their new spouse? Do you know how many cases where men or a woman has died and left their old ex-spouse on their life insurance, and that new spouse gets absolutely not a penny?
Not a penny.
So these are things we have to talk about. We have to talk about life insurance policies because, again, death is not something that's a surprise. All of us are going to go. So these are things that we have to be talking about, discussing. Well, who's on your policy? Give yourselves a time frame. If something happens to you, we need to change our beneficiaries.
That's right.
Well, some people can say, well, I want to keep them. We had the conversation. That person said, well, I want to keep my mama. I want to keep this one as my beneficiary. Then, okay, you keep that policy. We'll get a whole nother policy just for me and you.
That's right. That's right.
Because it's their policy. They can do it what they want. But you want to say that we as husband and wife need a policy for us, for our marriage. Something happened to you, something happened to me. We are covered. Because we leave each other out there with no coverage. Like, what? We can't keep doing that. The mosques, the study groups, all of that. We can't keep putting that kind of pressure on our nation. We have to put that pressure on each and every one of us. These are financial discussions that we have to have. Do we have a will?
Is there will?
These are discussions we have to have in courtship. We have to have in marriage. Well, I ain't got no money, so ain't no need for all that. Yeah. Well, shoot, I want my favorite book to go to somebody. Whatever it is, these are things we really have. These are serious discussions because, again, when we're helping with the single couples, we said this is the mindset we would like to help you to see. I am looking for a lifetime partner. And I say repeat that 3 times because when you put that in your mind, I'm looking for a lifetime partner, then you are looking for that person that's going to be with you till Allah takes us from this earth, however long that may be, you're looking for that person to laugh with, to cry with, to travel with, to love, to go through the trials and tribulations together successfully, because we're doing it together. You see this hand? If I just poke you with my one finger, it's not going to do that much damage. But if I take this fist and hit you, it's going to do a lot more damage. So see, single people, this one finger, this is you by yourself. The fist is you and a mate together making things happen. That little finger pointing by itself, it's not going to do too much. But again, that fist, you and a mate, a husband, a wife, not a boyfriend, not a girlfriend, not common law, a husband and wife. That's how God set it up.
That's right.
Straight like that. Come on.
That's right. That's right. It's straight like that. Straight
Praise be to Allah. All right. Well, we got some questions from our audience. I'm gonna post one on the screen. Our dear brother asked, "What do the singles program look like in the study group?"
In the study group, it depends. Again, the minister gave us instructions in a strong commitment in marriage. He gave the instructions in that article. Every mosque and study group should put on events for the single believers. And I'm loving to see all of the different events we're having around our nation. Because again, we don't want believers in clubs. We don't want the brothers in the strip club, all of this foolishness that's out here in the world. We want our way of life. So things have to be done in our mosques and study groups. Single believers, go to your laborers, give them your plans of what activities y'all want to do, family activities, singles activities. And I thank Allah for our regional sister captain here in Atlanta, Sister Captain Nusaiba Muhammad, who said she's personally spearheading putting on the singles events, which they are having this in August at the end of this weekend, the 30th. Here in Atlanta, they're having a single social for the believers, inviting all those who want to come.
And I want to shout out Jacksonville too, because they're doing wonderful things in Jacksonville, Florida. So you all should go to that in September. If you don't find nobody here in Atlanta in August, go to that event. We want to encourage everybody to go to different events until you find somebody for you.
Within your nation.
That's right.
Within you, let me say it again. Within your nation.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I bear witness. Go ahead.
We have another. Oh, I'm sorry. We have another question here. I'll place on the screen from Vindel Nasir. How do you communicate with your spouse when your spouse doesn't want to communicate?
Why doesn't she or he want to communicate with you? You are somebody that they should want to communicate with you. You should be looking forward to getting them to communicate. And what is your level of communication to them? Can you communicate with them?
Or is it a negative? Because most of the time, by nature, women are communicators. By nature, we're natural communicators.
Right.
And I tell brothers all the time, when your wife stops talking, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble because most of the time, we are telling you or letting you know the way you talk to me is this. The way even men, babe, you talk to me disrespectful. You do. We let you know what's the best way to communicate with us. But if our egos are out of control, if we are very toxic, if we use the 3 C's like a champion, we condemn, criticize, and complain. If that is you, oh yeah, that's going to shut down communication very quickly.
It will shut it down
very quickly, because if she's trying to communicate, she's being condemned, she's being criticized, you always complaining, you don't do nothing right. Again, listen to what your spouse has told you previously and begin to change that communication style, because it's not productive. Our communication, like we taught, should be giving us what? Light, life, and power. If I come around you and I feel diminished, if I feel lowered, if I feel insignificant,
Right.
like you're always right, I'm always wrong, I can never do nothing right, that this sounds familiar, that's a lot of us communication style, and we wind up ill affecting our spouse, and they rather not talk to us than talk. We tell this story all the time. My husband was mad at me about something. I don't remember what it was, but he was mad at me for something. So he said to himself, I'm gonna give her the silent treatment. I'm not gonna he didn't talk to me, y'all, for 2 whole weeks. He said the greetings and that was it. And my children and I'm just as happy as I could be. And he realized, he's like, wait a minute, I'm not talking to her. And she just as happy as can be. And he realized, wait a minute, she's happy I'm not talking. So again, we have to look at how we are communicating to people, and your spouse can be ill affected. So if your wife is not speaking to you, brother, I can almost bet you it's how you're communicating with her. And we love our dear National Assistant Brother Ishmael Muhammad, because he has been coming to the marriage retreats via Zooms, started with COVID by Allah's grace. And one of the things he said to the brothers, he said, brothers, how do you treat a flower? And then he said to them, what type of flower is your wife?
Come on. Praise be
to know that you have to study her like she study you.
That's right.
But if you don't care to know her, just do what I need you to do for me, and you have a me attitude, and she's the giver, but she's not receiving anything back from you, soon enough, you shut off your valve of comfort and consolation.
So be careful of that, brother.
Yes.
You don't want to shut her down. You don't want to shut her down because she has something to say to you of significance. She has she has insights that she can give you to help you be a better man, a better Muslim. So really, you got to think about, if she's not talking to me, I'm being deprived of her voice and needing her to speak more. And that's why I let her do a lot of talking now, because it's not about what I have to say. I've learned that it's about what she has to say as well. And I want to hear what she has to say. And I want you to hear what she has to say as well.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Thank you, family. I'm gonna present another question from our audience, and they have 3 questions that's similar about what it means to you. So I'm just gonna present 2 of them, so you could probably use it as a talking point to talk on both of them. So they asked the question, "What does love mean to you?" And then they also asked another question that said, "What does commitment mean to you?" So once again, is what does love mean to you, and what does commitment mean to you?
Love means to me giving what I have come into this world to give. And that's my nature, that's my soul for this work that we're doing here. This is what I love. I love doing what we're doing. I love it. And I love people. And that is the difference that I find that is present with me. I want to love. I don't have time to hate nothing. I have time to love Black people. Oh my God, do I love Black people. But I know now that with my loving them, I know that they're going to try me. I do know that they're going to try you significantly. And that is where the word commitment comes into me, because I don't have commitment phobia. Commitment phobia is a fear of commitment. And I don't have that anymore. I don't have a fear of committing to Black people, to my wife, to my family. I'm definitely 1000% into my marriage, into my relationship. And I want everyone around me to bring the same commitment, the same love to whatever I am loving and bringing my commitment to. So that's what I would say to that, my brother. You got to have love. You got to have commitment. Those who work together, they are hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. You got to be in love, and you got to have the commitment.
And I love what the minister said. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to him that love is freedom, justice, and equality, which equals Islam, which equals peace. If we function on just that one principle, how differently do I handle people? I want for my brother and sister what I want for myself. That's love. That's why we, again, the energy of, look, I know marriage is not a piece of cake, but to help others to see, look, it can be as much fun as you put into your marriage. People
Right.
say, well, I have a boring marriage. If it's boring, that means you happy that it's boring.
Yeah.
You know,
You
we
both.
can change what we will. That's why we are the children of the Most High God. God and you, God and you. And you're not 10th cousins from God. It's God and you. So that love of creating peace in yourself first, because that's really where it begins for me. And I think that's why my husband said that he has seen me change so much, is because loving me and finding the peace within yourself and having a relationship with God for yourself. It evolves you, it changes you. And so the more you're able to love yourself and love your people, and as the minister's teaching us, it starts with us as Black people, but it evolves to all of humanity. 196,940,000 square miles belongs to us. So once you have that in your mind that it belongs to you, then therefore now the way I act, the way I can talk and speak with people, yes, I know your nature. I know who you are. And because I know who you are, I know how to handle you better now. And so with that level of maturity, knowing that we are responsible for all of humanity, because like the minister says to us, his work began with us, but it doesn't stop with us. It's
Right.
all the world, our Mexican family, all of our Hispanic family, our Indian family, everybody is included in that world. And who doesn't want peace? Who doesn't want love? Not diluted, not fake, not phony, because you're trying to get something from me, but because you really love me. You really care about me as a human being, and not because of the color of my skin, but you love me for who I am. So to me, that is what love is, by looking at the minister and seeing the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and their families and what they have sacrificed. What do we look like not doing the same?
Right.
And commitment is just that, working and being committed to the mission. And the mission is, well, what is the assignment? To make the kingdom of God here on earth.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent, excellent. I see here time is flying, but I see here, Student Minister Chad, we are at the 7:25, at least Central Time.
Yes.
So what I would like to do briefly is again go back to what you all spoke on in terms of the importance of courtship and those questions. Can you talk about the importance of, again, in courtship, talking about expectations and then how we manage expectations. So for example, if the brother maybe says, my expectation is 7 days a week, you know, I would desire, you know, a hot meal that you cook. But the sister's expectation may be, well, you know, right now I'm also working full time. My expectation is maybe I can do 4 meals a week. But talk about, because sometimes we, you know, those are maybe the small conversations that we don't have. And then we're married and the brother's expecting one thing, but the sister is just like, well, that's not our reality. Can you talk about the importance of talking about what those expectations are? And again, another message by the minister that I know some of us may be familiar with is know your role, you know, but having these conversations before we jump in, and then all of a sudden, you know, we experience disappointment because my expectation was one thing, but we didn't even have that conversation.
That's absolutely necessary, and that is definitely one of the things that we tell those who are married and those who are in courtship. You have to have, you think they're so little, so minute, but it's not. If you're single and you sleep on the right side of the bed single, and your future husband or wife, they sleep on the right side of the bed too, well, who going to sleep on the left now? And they start laughing. I said, but this is real, because you've been doing something by yourself for so long.
Yes.
You never even think about it. Am I a morning person? Am I a night person? Because if I'm the early bird and I get up and I get moving after Fajr prayer, you up all day, but your spouse, they like the night. They function better staying up to 1 and 2 in the morning and going to bed. You see, so these expectations are so necessary to talk about, to write down, and then see how we have progressed with these. Because like you just said, dinner. If she's working 8 to 10 hours a day, just like you are, how is that expectation going to be met if you want a hot meal on the table? How? It's going to take us compromising with each other. So if I cook a hot meal, so okay, it's 7 days a week. So I'm going to cook Monday. When I cook Monday, the food that I'm cooking is going to last for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Now, if the brothers say, well, I don't eat leftovers, oh, we in trouble for real now. You don't eat leftovers, so you want a hot, fresh cooked meal. See, it's again sitting down and really talking about these expectations. When we have children, what's the expectation? Write it down, and then when it happens, then now we have something to go over, because what? We wrote it down. We didn't just talk it, we wrote it down. We sat down and we discussed these expectations, and now we're going to sign it. We're going to sign it because my signature is saying, yes, I can do this. Yes, I'm going to strive to do this, because like he just said, most of us, our word don't mean nothing. We'll say it today and forgot what we said yesterday.
Yes, and I think that what you said to say is so true. Compromise is everything to a marriage. To a modern day marriage, you have to compromise. And I want to say to you that you should be in the spirit of compromise if you want to fulfill your marriage vows to each other. And I want you to know that I am a compromiser. I believe in compromise. It's been good for my marriage, and it's going to be good for your marriage too. And I want you to know that what you need to understand about compromise is you may not get your way all the time, but you have to know that your spouse may get their way some of the time, and you will get your way some of the time too. And that's how compromise works. It's not your way all the time. It's not her way all the time. And so what you have to do is you have to simply allow the process of compromising. Marriages give and take. Give and take. Those are things that we don't mention a lot of times, but it comes down to give and take. What can I give? What can I take here? What can I compromise on? What can I not compromise on? That's what a marriage is consisting of. You have to bring all your expectations, all of them, and put them on the table. You have to put them on the table for us to see what the compromise is, especially when we start having children. You have to talk about children, and raising the children is so different. We have different mindsets about what it means to raise children. Are you a whipper? You're a whipper? Was everything handled in your house with a belt, a comb, a cord? Was it handled that way? Or is there any room for compromise in your approach to children? And that is so very interesting. There needs to be a lot more talking to each other in the marriage than it does sexing. We got a lot to talk about. And I would put the talking before all that other stuff that we're trying to do. Let's get to talking. Let's get to talking about this marriage and what we're going to do and how we're going to do, who's going to handle the children, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, when they get sick or what have you. Are they going to move in here with us? Or they're going to go to home somewhere? Let them go to home, because I'm not taking care of anybody. So you need to know that in courtship, because you have parents and you want to see your parents looked after properly. So Minister Farrakhan told us we don't put our families in homes. We don't do that to them. Our loved one, our older ones, when they get older, we don't put them in homes, old folks' homes. A lot of us, we do that. You'd be surprised. Yeah, unless they cannot be taken care of by us, we should have them among us. And that's something that we're going to have to talk about. But we don't do a lot of talking. And the marriages, you check out most of our homes, they're quiet. We don't talk about anything. You know, we bought books on marriage. Ask me how many books we have on marriage. Go ahead, Brother Chad, ask me.
How many you have?
The average person has about 5 to 10. We have thousands of books on marriage.
Wow.
Because we're inquiring minds. We want to know.
Right.
And I can tell you that most of the problem is that right there. We're not inquiring because we don't really want to know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to know nothing. We think Minister Farrakhan has taught us everything that we need to know. But there's some things that we still going to have to study. After the minister leaves us, we're going to have to study some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is not going to be handmade, given to you. You're going to have to do some work in this nation. And I'm going to just tell you like that. The minister is not looking for people to parrot him. He's looking for people to follow him and lead by his example.
Mm. Wow, praise be to Allah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna bring this question up by our dear brother Tony out of Mars 29, Miami. He said, question, how important is it for a husband to make himself interested in what his wife is interested in? And how important is it that she does the same in respect to him?
Absolutely, it's necessary, because that's what helps to grow us. And it grows us because I don't have a locked mind where I'm just interested in what I'm doing. No, I love you. I care about you. So that which you love, I want to be there to share that with you. You know, I want to be there to support you. What do you need me to do? If your husband or wife is going to school, well, how can I support them? What do you need me to do? If your husband or wife is trying to further their career, what do you need me to do? How can I help you? See, because I want to help support you. And when the husband does that, when the wife does that, that helps to grow you, because man, my mom was not even thinking on that. But because I'm helping my wife or helping my husband or supporting them in that endeavor, it matures me in another arena that I wouldn't have never even thought about. Say your husband or wife likes running. You don't like running, but I'm going to be there to support them. You know what? I'm going to go walk with them maybe once a week. Maybe they do it 5 days a week. Maybe they go running or walking that often. Well, you know what? Let me do it once a week with them or something. Again, when you do that, you're connecting with that person on a whole nother level of intimacy. Intimacy. We can intellectually now talk about it. That's why the minister said it's our nature as women to measure up to our husbands, to the point where he said we can even exceed. Wow. Because that which you love, we're going to study it. We're going to support you in it. But does the brothers do that vice versa for their wives? Y'all have 4 children. She's going back to school. Well, I expect you to cook, clean, take care of children. I want you to do everything. And then you got time to study when you want to study. Oh, but then a supportive husband be like, well, honey, you made dinner. You know what? Me and the children will clean up the house. You go in the office or in the study and you go study. What would that do for the person? That's supporting me. That's being by my side to champion what I'm doing, because you're supporting me in this endeavor. It's how we show love. Because see, we're going back to that word. Love is freedom, justice, and equality. If you want to be treated a certain way, why would you not want the other person to have the same type of treatment? Why would you not want the other person to share in being treated fairly and justly?
That's right. See, that's a question, brother, that is so beautiful in its own right, because we got to learn as husbands to treat our wives and be interested in them. We had Minister Abdul Malik Muhammad on our show, and he made a point about interest. He said that a person who is interesting is because they have interest in something other than themselves. See, I want you to know that you can be interesting to her. If you show interest in her, what is she involved in? What is she doing that you can be interested in, not just because
I gave her the money for it.
I gave her the money for it, but interest, real interest, is something that we don't really have. And that becomes a problem. You can't expect your wife to show the interest in you if you don't show the interest in her at all. You can't. Now I'm gonna say that one more time for us. Just I want to make sure you get this point. She is there 24 hours a day showing interest to you. But what about you showing interest to her? She's there. She's interested in you, but are you interested in her at all? That's the thing that we have to do a better job with the brothers. We got to show interest in her and what she's involved in. And I'm telling you, it would make a more balanced nation. It would create a much more balanced nation than what we presently are seeing for us. So that's what I would say to that, brother.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sir.
All praises due to Allah. You both mentioned toward the top of the show the importance of a couple praying together and studying together. Can you talk about again why that is so crucial and critical, and then particularly when you have a couple that maybe you know you've got children, you've got, he works outside the home, she works outside the home. So a lot of times, sometimes as brother Sudamis or Chad mentioned, your schedules sometimes get a little bit discombobulated. How do you then go about, carving out some time that, even if it's not necessarily every day, because maybe you work different shifts or something like that, how do you suggest couples come together and like, okay, we got to schedule, even if it's once a week for 30 minutes, that we're going to sit and read the Quran together or go through this a study guides, even if it's for 10 or 15 minutes, but just the importance of establishing that quality time with just the two of you all and the God and what we've been given by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable minister Louis Farrakhan when life be lifing.
Well, I'll give a good example of that, because early on, when our children, we have 6 children, range in age now, 4 boys, 2 girls, so they range in age now from 31 to 20 years old. And I was a full-time mom, and my husband worked, and he traveled the state of Georgia doing uh, the youth intervention services work under our nonprofit. And so therefore, he traveled. He wasn't home, but we would call on the phone and talk to each other. We'd say prayer. We would call, and it's noon prayer, it's this prayer. We would call and pray together over the phone. We would discuss whatever spirituals, like he'll mention a subject, or he'll say, well, babe, I'm about to talk on this subject. What do you think about this subject? What do you think? So it's always a communication of talking about our Islam, and putting the teachings in and studying the teachings to dive deeper into understanding our way of life. And it's so much needed in the marriage, because what did the minister say at his 90th birthday? He said, we all live in Niggerville. Well, if Negroes stay around things that keep them in Negroville, you're going to stay there. But it's implementing by listening to the minister, studying the minister's words, and putting that into practice in our daily life. That's how we get out of Niggerville and keep striving and striving. Because, like I said, all you gotta do is scratches and it come out, right? So we have to perpetually be studying and talking. And how do you do it with our busy schedules? The same. Back then we had the regular phone. We didn't have cell phones like we have now. Now everybody got a cell phone. So again, we can call, you know what, babe? I'm on lunch at whatever time I go to lunch. You know what? On Wednesdays, let's both study something that week and we can discuss it. We can do it what we want. We know how to come together and talk about the schedules. Okay, babe, I work this time, you work that time. The children have this, the children have that. We're going to carve out this time for this. Our children knew growing up, when our bedroom door closed at 8 o'clock at night, you better not come and knock on that door. That was our time. After that, we dealt with you all day. 8 o'clock at night, that was it. See, establishing rules and ways of life to make your marriage relationship healthy for the two of you. I don't definitely believe in that. Well, we got children, we can't do this. No, it's not no can't. It's how we gonna work it out. How we gonna come up with a solution for success. And that's what you're looking for, even with busy schedules. Within that week, there's some time we can give to each other. And like Brother Chad mentioned earlier, that we can look at our time, look at our schedules, and begin to implement just us time, just children's time. And the best time, if our schedule allows it, is at the dinner table. Our children grew up at that dinner table. That dinner table was our conference table. Even though my husband may not have been home, I was sitting there at the table with him. When he came home from work, everyone knew dinner time, everybody at that dinner table. And then the more we can implement that at the dinner table. Now our children are grown. We strive to do family dinners at least once a month. Now it's to the point I think we had 2 a month now because everybody just love coming together and eat. But the point is to establish something that we all come together to eat and talk and keep each other familiar with what's going on in our lives. We can do what we will when we make it important to ourselves.
And then there's the process of stopping sinning. See, none of what we're doing can be achieved if sin is involved in any of our lives, because we won't want to be a part of anything when sin is involved. And see, you got to ask yourself, if there's no unity happening, is there any sin here? Because sin evaporates faith in God, and it will remove any form of God's presence in the family. See, we were able to talk because we were not sinning. And I can ask you, dear sisters and brothers, is there any sin in your marriage that you need to deal with? That get that out the way so y'all can do these wonderful tips that we're trying to give you on this call tonight. We're trying to give you some tips to have a better relationship with each other and with God. That's what we would want to do tonight, and we want to help you to do that properly. So thank you again, Brother Chad. May Allah bless you, and Sister Sala for doing this with us.
Praise be to Allah. It is our honor, dear brother and dear sister. We are at the close of our show. We appreciate those that have been on here with us and shared, and all of the likes and all of the comments. But before y'all leave, dear brother and sister, we most definitely want y'all to give us a closing remarks and anything that you have that is coming up that you can mention about to the listening audience. So at this time, we want to open the floor to you for that.
Well, praise be to Allah. Thank you. Thank you again for this opportunity. We do have coming up, inshallah, the end of this month on the August the 29th through September 1st is the 14th. You heard 14 years by Allah's grace of
Wow.
doing the marriage retreat. And inshallah, we will be with our believers, our brother minister Abdul Halim Muhammad, and the laborers there at Muhammad Mosque number 45 in Houston, Texas, with the 14th annual marriage retreat. We have in person as well as online. You can go to our website, www.themarriagekeepers.com. That's www.themarriagekeepers.com. And it's open to all husband and wife couples. It's not just a Nation of Islam event. It's open to all. So invite your cousins, those who you know are married, newly married, long time married. By God's grace, everyone who comes enjoys themselves, learns something to take back home, because the object is to help people with advanced relationship skills that help us to be successful, to as the minister said, navigate the captain so he can navigate that ship even on rocky waters.
Right. Is it my turn? Oh, okay. Yes, sir. I just wanted to say the same thing, that the website is www.themarriagekeepers.com. We want you to come to the marriage retreat. This is the 14th annual marriage retreat that we are doing. And I can tell you, we have gotten pretty good with it by Allah's grace over the last few years of doing it. And we want to help you help your marriage in a wonderful way. We want to invite you to come to it. It is not for you if you are coming there to talk all about the problems of your marriage. This is the marriage retreat is for people who got problems, but we are not going to deal and focus exclusively on your marriage problems. This is going to be a lot of stuff. We got Brother Daoud coming, Sister Melissa coming. They're going to be dealing with credit and the money personality is so powerful. When you see what they're going to do, it's very powerful. We got Minister Abdul Malik Saeed Muhammad coming. Inshallah, we will have him do, he going to do the communications piece. It's very powerful, my dear brothers and sisters. And we're going to talk on parenting and marriage. And we are going to also deal with the marriage diagnostic for your marriage. It's going to be very wonderful. And we're going to have the husbands only sessions, the wives only sessions again this year. It's very powerful that you would get to experience that with us. So,
Praise.
and our main part of what we're doing is we're going to have, once again, Minister Ishmael Muhammad this Sunday. What not that Sunday? Yeah, that Sunday we're going to have him on our show, and it's via Zoom. He's going to be coming via Zoom. So thank you all very, very much. I look forward to this wonderful thing that Allah blesses us to do every year, and we hope that you all will be able to join us. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, family. At this time, we are going to get into our commercial segment. We want to thank everyone once again for tuning in. And we ask for those that are listening, if you can, to help us and support to continue to keep guests coming on like our dear sister and dear brother. And for those that have been coming on for years now, you can help us, family. Anybody that would like to give a little more than their time that'll help us out financially to keep things going, it most definitely would be helpful. You can donate to Closing the Gap via PayPal by jkingdom at AOL.com, or you can Cash App at $CTG Broadcast, and Zelle also at Closing the Gap Broadcast at gmail.com. Once again, you see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen where you can donate, and any amount will most definitely be helpful. And we thank you, family, for tuning in, and most of all, for paying attention and giving your time. At this time, I'll turn it over to Sister Starles for our closing announcement.
Thank you again, family, for joining us this evening. As a reminder, I would like to encourage you all to visit finalcall.com. That's www.finalcall.com. There you see the cover of the latest edition of the Final Call newspaper. On that website, you can feel free to take out a subscription, either a digital subscription that comes to your inbox every week, or when you're out in the community in cities around the country and you see the FOI in your cities with a physical edition of the paper, make sure you get one, not just for yourself, but pick up one for a family member or friend. On that very same website, you can click on the store button, store.finalcall.com, to order books by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as well as messages from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And last but not least, on that very same website, if you click on Final Call Radio, or on your device, if you download the Final Call Radio app, you can listen to excerpts of messages by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as well as his musical selections. Again, that is on Final Call Radio. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Sister Stalin. And for those that are tuning in, whether it's your first, second, or third time, and you heard something that sparked your interest, or you've been listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on YouTube or what have you, and you would like to learn more about these life-giving teaching, we ask that you would join us at www.noi.org/join. Fill out the digital form that you see here on the screen, and someone will get back in touch with you so you can start the orientation process. And we also want to invite those that if you're in the Bay Area, whether you're in St. Pete, Clearwater, or you're in Bradenton, wherever you're at, We want to invite you to come out to Mosque 47 to hear this lecture that's called Obedience, the Remedy to Conquer Rebellion, that inshallah I will be delivering tomorrow. That's at 5508 North 50th Street, Tampa, Florida. By chance, if you're not in this area, we want to encourage everyone to tune in to our national webcast. You could go to www.noi.org to hear from any of the student ministers that's up under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You can hear them live via webcast. So please tune in. Report to your local mosque or the study group in your area. If not, tune in to our webcast. We thank those once again for tuning in. Continue to share once we get off here. Share also this powerful all the question that was asked, to some that we didn't even get a chance to get to, but share this powerful answers that I did, brother and sister, from the marriagekeepers.com. Go there to check out more about them and the wonderful works that they're doing. May Allah continue to bless you, brother Marcus and sister Cecelia, for all of your hard work. Inshallah, we're still working on most definitely to get you to come down here in the 7th region. And preferably if Miami don't host it, right here in Tampa Bay area. So don't give up on us yet. We look at something together. All right, thank you. May Allah continue to bless everyone and have a blessed day, blessed night. All right, assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Wow.